People are always looking for things to justify their behaviors. So if we have a movement that is like this extreme acceptance, that is going to allow the person to justify their lack of accountability.
Great. Nathalia, welcome back to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me back. I'm super excited. And, it's quite interesting as well because my daughter is now in the weeds of club soccer. So a lot of the conversations that we had previously, I'm starting to see now as being in the trenches of it. So yeah, it's quite cool.
It's an exciting time. How old is she again?
She's 8, but like she is literally obsessed. I don't remember me being as obsessed about something. Like everything, whenever you ask anything related to like what is a dream of yours, I want to have a statue of me with a soccer ball and be famous because I play soccer. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a professional soccer player.
Oh.
Like everything comes back to soccer, which is quite interesting.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think it sounds like she has like a passion for it too. And just buckle up because the youth soccer journey is very wild. And she plays travel, right?
We haven't got there. Like that was one of the things that I was talking with my husband. I'm like, she's 8 and we still have like at least 10 years of soccer ahead of us. Like, do we need to start with soccer, like with travel right out of the gate?
That's
No,
a good point.
we don't.
You're doing it right.
Yeah, I want to keep it sane because we have another child as well, and I don't think it's fair for all his weekend to be consumed with his sister's activity. So
Yeah, I love that. And I know you talked a lot about this on the previous episode you were on and just managing your schedule as a busy sports parent and just giving advice to other parents. There comes a time where you have to make some hard decisions and cut back just for everyone's sanity and health. So yeah, I'll link that episode in the caption below so everyone can check that out if you haven't listened to it yet. But today we have quite a controversial and triggering topic, and that is body positivity. So when the body positivity movement started several years ago, I remember I didn't like have a good feeling about it. Like I was kind of questioning, is this good for people? And I know this is like a hot take right off the bat, but I still think it's kind of toxic for our young girls, our sports moms we've talked about in previous episode. I just don't think it's helping for performance and health. So maybe we can start with your thoughts on all this and why do you think it isn't helping?
I think that like anything in life, any kind of like big movement like this, we normally it starts with good intentions. I don't think that whenever we start talking about body positivity, it was with the intention of it becoming as toxic as it has become, which I like to call the toxic body positivity. But the thing is that, like anything, people are always looking for things to justify their behaviors. So if we have a movement that is like this extreme acceptance, and that is going to allow the person to justify their lack of accountability and personal responsibility, then I'm going to ride that wave for as long as I can. And if it makes someone happy, then by all means, that's great. But what I'm seeing a lot with the ladies that we work with, and even seeing by watching kids with volunteering with my children and being on social media, is that we're getting very toxic in that path, because what ends up happening is that if you don't feel happy in your body, you inevitably want to change. And then you have someone that comes to you and is like, but you should just be grateful. You should just like be happy because that's how God made you. Then you almost you almost start to question your own sanity, because you're like, well, but I don't feel good. And then you start to feel guilty for wanting to do better because You must be positive because that's how it needs to be. You should just be grateful to be alive. It's like whenever you are in a toxic relationship and the person is incredibly abusive, and then it's like, well, it could be worse. Yeah, it could be freaking bad, but yay, woo, we're winning. Like that's the level of toxicity that is getting to, because then we have now women who have been fed that messaging for the longest time, that are not taking photos with their kids. They are not going on vacation with their kids. They're not wearing shorts with their kids. And then whenever you talk with them, they're like, well, but I'm just like so grateful that, my kids are healthy. I'm like, no, but what about you? And the problem with that is because these are the parents of these young athletes who are also being told, you just need to love yourself, when the kid is clearly feeling uncomfortable in her body and gaining weight and things like that. And when does it stop, the toxicity of it all? Because I wholeheartedly believe that you can love yourself and want to do better. These things are not mutually exclusive. And whenever you're telling people that they shouldn't feel this way, it is a form of gaslighting. Like that is the definition of gaslighting. But you put this, like you put this bow on top and you slap some lipstick on it, and it's still a freaking pig. Now it's a pig with a bow and lipstick, but it's still a freaking pig. It's still a very terrible concept that is not acknowledging how the person actually feels. So that's how we got so toxic. And that's something that I'm seeing a lot across the board.
Wow, emotional gaslighting is a really good way to put it, because like you said, that just people are not in alignment with what they're saying. They're saying one thing but then doing another. So a lot of like women or even like teenage girls are saying, well, like, I just love myself how I am. That's what the magazines are telling me. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, but if you are like still feeling insecure for some reason, or not confident, or in the female athlete space, I see girls like hesitant on the field because they're not strong enough and they're not working on that muscle mass, but they're like, "Oh, I love my body." Like that's what the internet's telling me. I'm like, there's a misalignment there. And
If
that's where it becomes an issue for me.
I agree, and as you were speaking, I took notes, because when we pretend that everything is okay, and deep down we know that they are not okay, we're not able to fix the problem. We're not able to fix the actual problem, because change can only begin when we acknowledge that there is a problem, that the problem exists. We cannot fix a non-existent problem. So if we're constantly trying to convince ourselves that everything is okay and everything is perfect and there is no problem, we can fix something. We cannot get better. We cannot improve, because we're refusing to see things for what they are. And that's what the movement is creating. The way that is being perpetuated right now is not allowing women, especially, to be honest about what is right and what is not right, to then fix the things that are not in alignment, they are not right, because they are constantly pretending. And it's exhausting. Like, not to mention that pretending, like I'm someone that is very open in about clear and direct communication. And we can't fix a problem that we don't know. And I'm seeing this even from the coaching aspect. I just want to feel good. Vibes are not data. Like, vibes are not metrics. Stop it. Like, what does that look like? People are even afraid that they want to lose weight now. Like, oh, I don't care about this scale. I'm like, you do, because you just told me in the beginning of the conversation that you wanted to lose, like that you gained 35 pounds. So you're measuring your progress or lack thereof somewhere.
It's so true. It just seems everyone is trying to talk themselves into all this. And you can affirm and self talk all you want, but if you're not taking accountability for your health or performance, like you're not going to have that true belief in yourself. And I do want to talk about some of these extremes, because like all extremes are bad. And you have girls who are like, well, like I just need to be positive about myself because I don't want to be like this like super lean. And like, okay, I agree, like some people aren't going to be that, depending on like the sport or who you are, or you're a former Miss Olympia like you. But I do think there comes a point where you have to like look at yourself and be like, okay, am I happy in my body? And am I healthy and can I perform for my sport? Or if I'm a sports mom, can I perform for my family and help them? Like, I think that matters more than just like chasing a certain look that the internet's telling you, like the skinny talk or just be obese. And it's like, well, for female athletes, I don't think obese is a good idea. Like, I'm just being honest here. Like,
Unless you're a putter. And
yeah.
even them like even they do have like a lot of muscle mass. There's a lot of body fat on top of it, but they're, it's suited to their sport of choice. But if you are, I don't know, like a pole, like a vault person, like what is it called?
Pole
The
vaulter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're not going to be able to get to the top if you're 50 pounds overweight. Like it's just not how like physics works. Like stop it.
Or if you're a sprinter, yeah, just like different sports require different body types, and that's okay. And if you're playing women's rugby, that's a completely different body type. They tend to have a lot more mass on them, and it
Hmm.
allows them to be powerful and strong and explosive. And I think people just need to abandon all body image trends, just like all all the trends out there, and just focus on performance, health, and then that true belief in yourself, not gaslighting yourself into, oh, I'm just happy with who I am.
Hmm. And because how are you going to get better if you like, I think that that's the whole thing. It's like, how are you going to get better if you don't acknowledge the things that are not as optimal as they could be, especially whenever we're talking about performance, especially for athletes as they are getting to that higher level. Like for example, when I was prepping for the Olympia, obviously it is a more aesthetics driven kind of sport. I had to do things at an optimal way because like the margins were very small between first place and second place or not winning at all. And it's whenever we're talking about performance sports is the same thing. Then, every little thing can make the difference to give you the edge. Whenever we're talking about lifestyle is different because you're not training, like you're just training to survive your children. So obsessing over optimizing every second of your existence becomes exhausting. But for an athlete, it is paramount. That's why you have, different types of coaches for different areas of performance within a sport. Like I don't know, a soccer player probably has a sprint coach because if depending on the position that they are, that is might be something that is necessary. And then you might have to have a strength conditioning coach as well. And because you're trying to gain that edge, and honesty with yourself is also part of the edge because then we can fix the problem.
Mhm. And getting that edge doesn't mean like, go so extreme you're unhealthy. And I'll give an example for sprint events in track. I do them now. Like there is a certain level of lean muscle mass you do need to perform and explode out of the blocks. But if you go too far with that and go too low in body fat percentage, that's when it becomes dangerous and just
Hmm.
not healthy. You slow down, you don't recover as fast, your hair thins, like all these things, you lose your period. That's not healthy. So I think again, the focus should be okay, what does your sport require? And it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your health. Like I think the body positivity movement is like, well, just, don't take accountability for anything, no, not your health, not your performance. And I'm here to tell girls, no, that's BS. Like there comes a level that you do need to get to that's a happy medium and still healthy for you. Hey guys, just want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, Simply Faster, and one of my favorite speed timing systems from them, the Freelap. I use it for my own sprint training as well as for my athletes, and they love it. It's super easy to set up, you can take it to the field on your own, and you can get accurate speed times to track your progress. Check the Freelap link in the caption below to start adding timing into your speed sessions. If you know me, you know I love my Freelap. If you're serious about speed, it's time to start timing.
And I think that it all begins, and this is me speaking as a parent and as someone who is incredibly passionate about the kind of language that we use as parents around our children who are young athletes. And when I speak with teenagers and especially with all the messaging right now that we have, like the extremes of the skinny talk and then the extreme toxic body positivity, I don't think we should be talking about body, period, with younger children. Like my child, who is 8, doesn't need to know that if she eats a cupcake, that's going to give her a belly. It is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we, it is something that it's so perpetuated in our society. And that's why we have the need of something that is so on the complete other end of the spectrum, that is the toxic body positivity. But why are we telling an 8-year-old that if she eats a cupcake, she's going to get a belly, when like she doesn't even make that connection between food and how we physically gonna impact them? And if she's repeatedly eating cupcakes, and I'm just using cupcakes, I love cupcakes, and she's gaining weight and she's not doing the like she's not physically active or as much as she should, and she's gaining weight, it might be something that the parents need to look at themselves, because they are the example. You cannot sit there and look at your child and be like, oh, you need to be happy, you need to be positive, you need to love your body, when you're not doing the same thing yourself, because then that's another layer of toxicity, that as a parent, you're telling your child what to do, what to be, when you're not even that.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I've seen this scenario so many times where parents are like, "Well, she's not eating healthy." And then I see like what the parent brings to the tournament over the weekend, and I'm just like, "So you're not setting the example here."
It's so hypocritical. And I don't know if we talked about on the other podcast, but this is something that I can like, because it triggers me. That is like, oh, I don't want to cook different meals, and my kid will only eat like mac and cheese and nuggets. So if you're only going to eat what your kid eat, how are you going to break that cycle and
Mm.
not expose them to the other things that would be like, it begins with you. So it might be that for a period of time, your child might have to eat slightly different things from you. And then, they see you eating vegetables, and they see you eating the grilled salmon, and then you put a little bit on their plate. And then, but it always begins with you. If you don't do it, your child is not going to do it.
Now, I have a question about that because a lot of parents are always concerned, well, we're so busy, we don't have time to practice good nutrition. And
Bullshit.
I know you've mentioned on the last podcast, you run several businesses, you don't have help with your kids, you don't have family close to you, like you're drowning, but you still you make it a priority. You make good nutrition a priority. So can you speak to that?
100%. I went to Taco Bell the other day. So I'm going to like kill both excuses right now. I went
Woo.
to Taco Bell the other day. It took me 20 minutes to get a meal. So the whole thing on the drive-through. So the whole, I don't have time. I encourage anybody to go to a Starbucks line, drive-through line, Taco Bell, McDonald's. You are going to be waiting a good 5 to 10 minutes. If you add that up, and you take all that time that you add up on one day of the week to prep all your food for the week and leave everything like ready to go, it's going to be less time than the amount of time that you're wasting every single day stopping in a fast food joint and you're waiting. So it's like it's going to require some preparation, but you cannot wing your way into a life that thrives. Everything that it requires, like everything that the end result is success, requires planning. Like you can't go into a soccer practice and be like, I don't know what we're doing today. Like we're just kind of going to do things. You're not going to be the best team. You just won't if you're winging your way. Like, so every successful end requires a level of planning. And that includes the food aspect as well. And then the whole idea of like, oh, it's expensive.
No.
I thought that so too. However, just yesterday I was recording content and I happened to have the freaking Taco Bell receipt in my car. It was like on the floor. I'm like, oh, look at that. And then we went to a gas station to buy snacks that were like very aligned with a healthy lifestyle, high in protein,
Mhm.
not with a whole bunch of extra things that would like spike the caloric content. I bought a protein bar, boiled eggs,
Mhm.
beef jerky. Like just on these three things, there were like about 50 grams of protein. It was a solid, like quote unquote meal. And that was not like, and there was something else to it as well. I can't remember what it was. So I bought four things that would leave me stuffed, and it was $10. The same
That's
price as the
incredible.
Taco Bell thing. Same price. And I put the receipt side by side.
That's incredible. And I love those snacks. We just had a nutritionist on and she mentioned beef jerky, hard-boiled eggs. There's like string cheese at gas stations. I mean, at
Yeah.
a Wawa, you can make reasonable choices. You don't have to go to the potato chip aisle and get chips and Cheetos because you're going to be hungry after that anyway. And there's no nutrient density to it. So, like you said, the beef jerky, the hard-boiled eggs, like kids love those things and it really like fills them up. And I think this ties back into body positivity, but when you eat good nutrient dense food the majority of the time, of course, if you're at a birthday, like have cupcakes, like enjoy, but if you eat nutrient dense foods the majority of the time, energy goes up, you feel better, confidence goes up, body positivity goes up, you just feel better. And I think food plays into body positivity and how you feel on the inside.
I mentioned to you right before we got on, I was recording another podcast, my own podcast, with my head coach, and we were talking like different variations of this conversation here. And one of the things that we talked about is that you can't expect, and I think that this is very important for young girls, young athletes. If you don't respect your body, it's going to be very difficult for you to set a standard on how people are going to respect you. And that is across the board. And this self respect begins with taking care of your body, taking care of yourself. Because whenever you start to take care of yourself, you're setting a standard on what your expectations of other people are. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't respect your body enough to take care of it, that is the message that you're sending on how other people can act towards you. So it goes beyond just what you eat and the positivity and body positivity. It really is the way that you portray yourself into the world.
I want to expand on that. I think it also helps girls just step onto the field or court or go into a track meet with more confidence, with their head up high, their shoulders back. I had a good solid breakfast today. I have the energy. I think it just manifests physically too in their body language and just their overall vibe. And I think that's true body positivity. You're nourished from the inside out. You're hydrated, you're rested, you're doing your strength training. It's that accountability piece. That's true body positivity and not lying to yourself when you're not taking
Doing the things.
accountability for your health.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, yesterday I was recording content, and I love to do stuff with my kids because whenever I put it on YouTube shorts, they say that they're YouTubers. They go on the
I
TV.
actually love those pieces of content you have with your kids.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And yesterday, one thing that we're very cognizant about in our house is that food is not the thing that is going to give a big belly. In fact, I had a big argument with my kids at school. I literally went there with a binder full of research because my daughter came home talking about like calories and how it was going to give her a big belly, and I lost my mind. Lost my mind.
What?
So yes, it was. So that's for me is toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like brainwashing an 8-year-old about like that for me is toxic and is being taught in schools because people are still very antiquated about the way that food and true health is being taught. So I went to the school. I had my moment with my researches, everything highlighted and bullet pointed and exhibits.
Was
Anyway,
this in health class or what?
yes,
Health
health and
class?
wellness.
What grade?
My daughter is in second grade.
Oh my gosh.
Correct.
Wait, that's insane.
And this happened last year. She was in first grade.
Oh my gosh.
Correct. So my daughter comes home looking at labels. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, this has like too many calories. And it's like, if I eat too much of this, I can't eat. And then she started like, I'm not going to have ice cream. And I'm like, why?
Oh
And then
my
she's
god.
like, because it's going to give me a big belly. That is toxic.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So because the language that we use at home, which from the content yesterday, she knows that we go to the gym. She know, and so I was like, Chloe, what do we do when we go to the gym? She's like, oh, you're just getting strong and healthy. What happens when you eat dinner and you eat the things that you enjoy for dinner? Oh, I build big muscles so I can be fast and strong on the field. So these are the building blocks to focusing on the habits rather than having to obsess over on the quote body positivity, because we're removing the focus from the body and putting the focus on the things that need to be done, which by default are going to give you a body that you're proud of. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's about focusing on the things that, and there's no way around it. If you're doing the habits, you're going to get the outcomes. But whenever we're obsessing on the physical, on the body, we're taking the focus from the thing that should be, which is the eating according to your goals and all of being hydrated and sleeping well and having a positive mindset. All of these things become null when the focus is on the body and the narrative of toxic body positivity.
Mhm. One thing I really like about your content is just the preaching consistency of these basic things. And I don't expect teen female athletes to be perfect. My goodness, like they go to pizza with their team after a tournament. That's great. Like that's like once in a while, not a big deal. And like you don't have to have this perfect regimen. It's just that consistency with good nutritious foods that fill you up, that help you with your sport. That's what matters most is the consistency over a long period of time, not trying to be perfect with it.
Any splitting hairs over things that are like the 3%,
Yeah.
like we have so many gadgets, so many things that tell, like I just did a presentation in my event recently, and one of the things that I talked about is that we are a society that wants to listen to our bodies, that wants to be healthy, that wants to like do all these things, but yet we have a device to tell us how we slept, we have another device to tell us if we're recovered or not, we have another device to tell us how hard we worked, we have another one to tell us whether we should be tired or not, and how many calories we burned, and they are all incredibly inaccurate. So we are like it's so like dichotomous, because we have in one side wanting to listen to our bodies, and then on the other side we have all these gadgets to tell us the things that we want our bodies to tell about ourselves. Like that's not how it works, and we end up focusing on the 3%, on which is like this, what I like to call useless data, rather than focusing on the 97% that, if done consistently, are going to get us to where we want to be.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's like the barrier to young girls eating healthy and like wanting to get in the gym, they're not doing that anyway. So it's like, why are we so focused on these details? Like, let's get them to do like these big rocks first before we even, I mean, I wouldn't even consider some of these like things, but it's too crazy. Like, we just have to get them doing the basics because not enough of them are strength training and eating well enough for their sport. Like those are the two things everyone's royally messing up. And it's like before you worry about like red light therapy or like what phase of period you're in, like it's too much
But
for our girls.
I'm a big believer that everything starts at the top. Like leader, like just fundamental leadership for anybody. If we have any of the parents watching here, the behavior of everybody in a company begins with the way that the CEO or the president behave. If the person at the top is lazy or is full of excuses, that is the culture of the company. Your house is a business, like quote unquote. It is ran like that. The leaders, the parents, and the kids are the little minions that watch the behavior and replicate that. So I'm not surprised when you say that our young girls are not lifting weights, are not exercising. Why? Like, how would they if that's not the example that they have at home?
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to have young athletes that have grit and they have discipline when their parents are jumping from diet to diet, from fad to fad, and they don't follow through with anything? So we're setting these expectations in young athletes, especially parents that are trying to live vicariously through their kids, when the parent themselves don't have follow through on the things that they promised themselves that they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know
So
what I'm saying? So
fast. Yeah.
we can talk all we want about what is wrong with, young athletes, but like you cannot with a straight face as a parent look at your child and tell them that they have to have resilience and discipline when you don't have the discipline to follow through on the thing that you said that you're going to do, and your kids are watching. You cannot tell your kid to love herself so much because that's the right thing to do when you haven't taken a photo with your child for 2 years because you're too embarrassed about the belly hanging out. You know, you can't tell your kid that they need to eat healthy and they need to plan when you're always scrambling and you're stopping in every single fast food joint because you haven't prepped and you haven't been ready to do the thing. So parents are putting these expectations on their kids without having an honest look at themselves and being like, oh, hold on a second. They're doing this because they don't have any example on how it is the right way to do it. But they don't want to take accountability. And then it becomes the coach's problem. It becomes the teacher's problems. It becomes the colleague's problem. Like it's everybody else's fault, but they don't have that honest conversation with themselves. And that's when that cycle of toxicity continues and perpetuates.
It's really bad. And I didn't even think of it that way, that they're blaming everyone else, but the parents not taking responsibility for their lack of discipline and health and eating well and leading by example. And I think this is so important for offsetting some of the BS our girls are exposed to on social media, because our girls are with their parents every day. So if you can be that example daily, it's going to balance out the BS they're seeing online. Because if you're not that example, then they might listen to that skinny talk influencer and be like, oh, I need to really cut my calories and have like 900 calories a day because this influencer said so. And that's where it gets really dark. And the influencers are parenting the kids.
It's not just that the influencer are parenting the kids. The parents are saying one thing, but their behavior is very similar to the behavior of the influencer on the internet. There is a layer of toxicity. There is a layer of not having the confidence and hiding from the photos and wearing like big sweatshirts and, from time to time saying, even if unintentionally, I'm not going to wear that because I'm too fat. And then you go on the internet and then you have the girls saying, oh, you have to be skinny and here's how you can be skinny. Why am I going to ask advice to my parent who is always saying that she's fat and can't get her shit together? And you have the skinny influencer on the internet that has, quote, all the answers. Who are you going to go to?
Especially as a teen who just doesn't know any better. And
There
then
you
that
go.
influencer, she looks pretty, she has 10 filters on, like, it's just she looks happy and healthy when it's like you have no clue how her health is falling apart underneath.
Which applies to parents as well.
Mhm.
Because I have seen, comments on my social media. Somebody's like, oh, no, like, he's not the example because I eat super clean. And I can tell from the language straight away that then we have the other spectrum of the toxicity on the disordered eating patterns of being like, oh, I eat super clean and everything is non-toxic and everything is like organic and I'm doing the cleanse and I'm like, And my daughter will just like not eat like this. Yes, because you're a freaking psychopath. And then you have taken the extreme and the completely other end of the spectrum. And now your kid is like rebelling and being like, I don't want to be like that crazy bitch. And then they are going the other direction. So it really is about finding that sweet spot, but it all begins with the parent being sane. And if you don't have the example at home, you're going to go to the internet. And then that's when the skinny talk becomes incredibly toxic on the other end of the spectrum.
I can totally see that when girls maybe see their moms or their dads just unhappy with their body or talking about, "Oh, I need to lose so much weight. I'm fat." And then the girl hears that and is, "Well, I'm just going to learn how to not be fat because it's, you know." So it does go to that other extreme too, and there has to be this medium, this true body positivity that the parent is showing.
And they don't understand why they can't be fat, because the example that they have is only about the mom feeling uncomfortable and miserable. Not, there is no talk about the impacts on their health, the impacts on the performance, the impacts on, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the focus become on the being fat period, like from a more like vanity
Yeah.
standpoint, rather than how it negatively impacts your quality of life. And that or how it negatively impacts your performance in the case of young athletes. And that's something that, you know, we're very intentional in my house with my daughter about about the language around food. No, this is good, this is going to give you big muscles, and whenever you have big muscles, you're going to be super fast on the pitch. This is the healthy language to use with young kids, because he focused on the performance aspect of it rather than the on the appearance aspect of it.
And that's another reason why I like your page is, I mean, even though you did an aesthetic sport, your message is still, hey, like you need to make sure you have your health, you perform well, you feel good. And then as a result, you know, you probably will have the aesthetic, which is kind of the cool thing about this all. If you have that discipline in your performance and health, you'll get the body comp, the muscle mass, you'll feel strong, you'll feel vibrant, and that I truly believe that now after competing this year in worlds, I for track, I just chased both health and performance because I had no choice. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done well. Like I wouldn't have made it. And I think female athletes can have both.
100%. But again, like all, I know that is a lot of responsibility, but having a child is a responsibility. You know what I mean? And it all begins at the top with absolutely everything. It all begins with the parents. You know, even on work ethic around showing up. I see all the time, you know, oh my God, my daughter broke, like she's in her jammies today. Like there was a team, a rec team that my daughter was in, and my husband was a professional athlete as well. So our tolerance to like excuses,
I understand. Yeah.
it's like a knife to my soul.
Mhm.
And my husband is the same. Like my husband is even more than me. And like my daughter was in this rec team, and I kid you not, Erica, this parent writes, like, how are you not embarrassed? First of all, but the parent writes, well, this is like 25 minutes before practice, FYI. Well, like such and such is still in her jammies, and it's like close to the holidays, so we're not gonna make because she's super comfy in her jammies. Like, what is happening?
Gosh, I wouldn't have
How are you not
survived.
embarrassed? Like, how are you not embarrassed? Like, how are you, like, the whole role of sport and that positive impact is to teach the skill set of life, like the resilience, the discipline, the teamwork, the learning how to win, the learning how to lose.
And to show up.
And bare minimum, let's freaking show up. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, don't quit, like finish the season, all those things. I see this happen a lot. Tons
Yeah.
of stories on a weekly basis.
But again, going back to the positivity in the behavior from the parents. If the parents are always finding the excuse to not show up when they said, because it's cold, I can't work out because it's cold. Like, what? Like, how are you expecting to raise resilient kids that will show up even when it's uncomfortable if you're not willing to do that?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the example that is being set.
It's so true, and yeah, it seems like it's becoming more common now. I didn't hear a lot of these stories when I was early into coaching several years ago, but now it just seems like it's normal to for the kid to quit halfway through the season for whatever excuse, or a lot of girls are missing practice now for
Why?
even travel teams, and I'm like, "You made a commitment to a travel team, but you're telling me you're missing 2 practices a week consistently?"
Comes back to don't commit to something that you cannot fulfill. And I think that that's where we have a lot of lessons from sports that can be applied to all the different aspects of life. We're expecting to raise resilient kids when we're not setting the example of resilience, and we're allowing them to just do like act like toddlers, do what feels good. I'm sure that anybody listening, whether you're a parent or whether you are in school, like you don't just do the work that you feel like doing, because otherwise you're going to freaking fail. So you do the work that you don't want to do and that it is uncomfortable because it's necessary to get to where you want to be. It's just part of life. It's a reflection of life. Yeah, practice sometimes maybe sucks, but so be it. You signed up for it. Follow through.
Now, I just want some of your advice for the sports parents because you're really busy yourself, but you still find time to make like health and fitness a part of your family and just set the example for your kids. How do you make it work? I mean, you mentioned, you can get some of these healthy snacks out and it doesn't need to be like Taco Bell all the time. What are some other tips to just really help parents like lead by example and have that true body positivity?
I'm going to begin with saying that I love this question. That's actually what we were talking in the previous podcast. So I love this, like, because my brain is still very much on that like on that vibe. I think that the first thing that we need to understand is that it's going to be uncomfortable. Like it just is. Like if we cannot, whenever your life, like whenever you have kids and you're ascending in your career, accepting that life is busy is going to be the easiest thing for you, like the easiest first step for you to get to a solution. Because acting like, oh my God, I'm like so busy. When were you not since having kids? Because I have two small kids and I run a few businesses, and I cannot recall the last day that I woke up and I was like, you know what? There is nothing happening today. If I ever feel this way, I'm probably forgetting something. So if we're always waiting for the not being busy, it's never going to happen. So then that's when we have to, you cannot keep on doing the same things that you did before. All these responsibilities came and expect to not have something fall apart.
Mhm.
And we have now kind of like it's still on the theme of toxic advice and toxic positivity is like everybody like not everybody has the same 24 hours. I mean, I have two kids and I'll tend to disagree because last time I checked, every hour still has 60 seconds. And we all have 24 hours in a day. Now, what has changed is the responsibilities and tasks that we have that need to be incorporated into the same 24 hours that we have. So I think that we need to stop focusing on whether or not we all have the same 24 hours because we're not going to change time. We just won't.
Mhm.
But what we can change is what we're saying yes to. And until we're willing to have that honest conversation on all the crap that we put in our schedule that a lot of times might not need to be done by us or might not need to be done at all, is the first step towards being able to stop with that I am too busy excuse.
People aren't because I see people sitting in the car at their kids' practice, scrolling TikTok. An hour goes by and I'm like, "Dang, you could have gotten in a really good strength workout then, or on the park bench, or on the
Right.
tree doing push-ups or lunges
Or
next to the
just going for a
tree."
walk, do
Go
laps.
for a walk. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I think that
Setting that example.
the first thing is to be honest with yourself. Everybody has the same 24 hours. However, not everybody has the same tasks and responsibilities to fill the 24 hours. The moment that we start to accept this, that's when we start to be able to fix things, because a lot of times people are so obsessed about the things that they cannot change. You can change time, that they forget to focus on the things that they can actually change, which is the tasks that go into time. So now that we got this out of the way, let's create a list. What are the things that you have to absolutely do, and what are the things that you can outsource? First thing that you can do is to create systems that support your goals. For example, we were talking about the snacks and foods and things like that. If you know that you're always stopping in drive-through and things like that, how about we plan the menu for the week and do some batch cooking on a weekend to leave everything ready, so we don't have to be scrambling and get, like, this is going to save you a lot of money. It's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to be more aligned with whatever goal it is that you have. And there's several like good, like, or you can outsource that, get like a company to deliver to your house, get a meal prep company. Like we live in a society of convenience that can be used for the convenience of the fast food, or the convenience that are aligned with our goals. We just have to choose which one it is. Mm-hmm. Or creating systems, that, like, for example, whenever I drop my kid off at practice, instead of sitting in the car scrolling my phone, I can go for a walk. Or if I have work to finish, bring my laptop and finish the work, but then I'll wake up earlier and get my workout in the morning. Is it ideal? No. But again, you have the same 24 hours, but you don't have the same number of tasks. So you're going to have to make some adjustments. You might be waking up 30 minutes earlier to get something done. It just is. Mm-hmm. And the other one is, I kind of hinted on it, which is the outsourcing. I don't know what it is, especially with women, that we want to work full time, but we also want to do everything that women in 1960 did. But again, it goes back to the thing in the beginning, same 24 hours, not the same set of tasks. If you're working now 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, it is delusional to expect to be able to do everything in a home that women in 1960 used to have as their full-time job. It just doesn't, the math doesn't math. So what are the things in your house that you can outsource? Cleaning, laundry, meal prep, and even within your fitness, like in the career, people are always outsourcing things. They have an assistant. Like if somebody's an attorney, they have a legal assistant. They have a paralegal. If they are an executive, they have an executive assistant and a few people working under them. But for some reason, whenever it comes to like fitness, it's like, I should know how to do that. What? Why? You've never had to do this with all the responsibilities that you do. So being open to outsourcing whatever that is, whatever is going to make your life easier. And then last but not least is to make sure that you are like putting yourself in a community with people that are not just going to feed the victim mentality and the BS that you're telling yourself. Because if you are surrounded by people who are like, oh, it's just like the mom bod, it just is. That's what you're going to believe. I'm just so busy. I can't do anything for myself. Like now that I'm a mom, I'm just going to be like miserable and wear sweatpants because that's how I feel. Oh, hell no. Mm-mm. And I'm pretty, like, I can say this because we have a community like this, and I've seen several communities like that, of people that don't settle, that don't accept. And whenever you're around people that raise that ceiling for you, you start to see of what is possible. And again, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it is possible. So you're only going to be able to see what's possible when you're surrounded by people that show you that and inspire you to see what is possible. So these would be my main 3 things.
Yeah, I really love those. I think those are really realistic and actionable for people. And I really like the point about surrounding yourself with other sports parents or just a community of people who aren't playing that victim mindset and who aren't like working towards their goals, and you're kind of just staying stagnant. And I don't know if you see this a lot, but I see a lot in the sports.
I do. I do. Whatever it is that you're going to say, yes, I do.
So one thing I notice a lot with sports parents, especially on the mom side, is a lot of shaming of their own kids and how busy they are as moms, and sharing TikToks of like, mommy TikTokers complaining about how busy they are with all these funny memes. Oh, busy sports moms. And I'm like, your kid is following you and you are basically shaming your kid for how busy you are. And like you said earlier, it's like did you not expect to be busy when having kids? Like, why do we have to like share all these TikToks and like, have you seen this?
I mean, it's busy. It just is.
It's
Like,
just
I
busy.
don't know why
Yeah.
people are acting surprised that they're busy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, like it's so busy. I'm like, okay.
But my thing is, it's like the time you spent scrolling that account to find the funny mom meme to share, you could have like done something for your health or led a good example for your kid. That's
Or
what I don't get.
or
Like,
if you want to scroll, cool. Like get on a treadmill and scroll as you walk, or
yeah,
like walk around and you want to scroll. Like I ain't judging. Go ahead and
yeah,
scroll and like laugh away and like hilarious. Hoo ha ha ha. But
yeah.
like we're like, oh my God, we're just so busy. And or like something that I
Everyone's busy. Like, let's be real. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
and another thing that I would add actually, because I have a story about we do a lot of time audits with our clients. We actually just brought on board someone who is a professor on time management
ooh,
to help our members, because that is one of the biggest problems that we have, time management. I'm like, I need to get someone who is good at what they do. And she's a professor on, like, she teaches time management in a college.
oh wow, that's interesting.
Yes. So one of the exercises that we have with our members is like a time audit. Like, tell me what you're doing in increments of like 30 minutes, or, sometimes we get even more granular if we see that the person is like very full of crap. Like we're doing 15 minutes increments, and tell me why this person who was always so busy all the time, whenever she gives me her time audit, she's watching TV on a Wednesday at 1 p.m. I thought it was a typo. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, yeah, like I was like, I prepped my lunch and then I sat down to watch TV. And I'm like, yeah, but you stayed watching TV on a Wednesday from 1 to like 2:30.
Wow.
And I'm like, busy people don't watch TV from 1 to 2:30. Like they just like I cannot, like, the thought of turning my TV on during the day, like it makes me twitch. So we need an audit. We cannot change what we don't know. So we need to be radically honest with ourselves and create this time audit so we can spot what are the time drains. And it might be that it is social media. It might be that you are, going on the rabbit hole of emails that don't need to be answered right now at this second, and then you don't do the thing that you need to do. So a radical honesty with your time audit to be able to see where your time is going.
Wow. Now, with these time audits, what's the average amount of time would you say people were like really wasting away? Was it like 1 hour on average, an hour and a half,
Or your
more?
kids. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like I wake
That's
up like,
crazy.
or there was more like I wake up at like 7:30, and then I get my kids ready and I leave my house at like 9:30. I'm like, that is like half of most people's day. Like, why are you waking up at 7:30? You're busy. Busy people don't wake up at 7:30. Let's you can earn right there by just waking up at like 6 o'clock. You just get an hour and a half of your day.
Yeah.
Why is it taking someone 2 hours to get it from like their kids ready and into where they need to go? Like it shouldn't take, if you have kids, like my son is 9. He wakes himself up. The clothes are here at the bottom of the stairs for them to change into, and he makes his own eggs.
That's awesome.
So like he shouldn't, and he's 9.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't be taking a parent 2 hours to leave the house, especially if you have children who are, able like to do things for themselves. I mean, if we're talking about a toddler and an infant, okay, I get it. So just right there, on this little time audit here, there is an hour and a half before the 7:30 that the person wakes up, and then another probably, hour that is being wasted with goodness know what between 7:30 and 9:30 that could be maximized for something else. And this is before 9:30. Like this is by 9:30 in the morning. We're already looking at 2.5 hours.
It's a lot of time.
And then we have the doom scrolling at the end of the day that then gets us to bed late. But
Mhm.
that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a lot of people do have a good chunk of time in the morning when you really break it down. So that could be used for maybe prepping the meals for the day or the week. And then like at night, most of these kids have their team practice. That's another 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours, and maybe that's the workout time. So it's like you're right. I don't think people who say they're busy are truly busy. They're wasting away some hours of the day.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, no way perfect at all. Like sometimes I do have to do an audit on my own time as well,
Mhm,
and be like radically honest with myself. Like, do I need to be on Google and ChatGPT, like quote
mhm.
unquote, researching all of that? No, I'm just procrastinating. And what happens a lot of times with high achieving individuals, which is a lot of parents who, we work with, is like planning to plan the plan to execute the plan that is being planned. And then they end up doing nothing because they're like overcomplicating instead of just doing. And they're trying to optimize a plan that they haven't even tried. It's kind of like trying to become the best soccer player on the planet before you even play soccer. Like you're gonna find out if, like, whenever you get punched in the teeth, like whenever you put yourself in the arena.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap this up, I mean, we talked about fake body positivity. We've talked about sports parents leading by example with body positivity and health and performance. What are some last words you would leave everyone with?
I think that it really goes back to radical honesty with yourself about the example that you're truly setting for your kid. Um, because again, I know that I talked a lot about this throughout, but it really is where it begins for everything, like fitness, the kind of marriage that you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, like my marriage sucks, but I want my daughter to like find this perfect person. And I'm like, but you cannot even stand your husband, and there is like this incredibly toxic environment that all your kids can see, and your husband is a piece of work. Like, what do you think that your child is seeing as an example? So, like, if you're not prioritizing yourself, that's what your child is gonna do. And I'm gonna add to it as well, which this is based on what Jen, who is my head coach in my program, she works with a lot of teenagers as a counselor.
Oh, wow.
And one thing that she has said repeatedly that she's seen from the clinical side of things is that a lack of boundaries that parents have with their kids is creating incredibly entitled kids that do not know how to hear no.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't work out because my kid keeps on interrupting me. No, your kid interrupts you because you allowed that because you have no boundaries. And by doing that, you are not preparing your kid to a world that does say no, that does require, a boundary. And that so we're shocked that we have a whole bunch of entire entitled teenagers, if these aren't the consequences of our actions, it just is. We're afraid of like, if I'm working, my kids are not allowed in my office. Why? Because that's a freaking boundary. I'm doing something. I'll get to you. It's not that I don't love my kids. I love my kids so much that I want them to learn that boundaries are something that need to be respected.
Mhm. I
So
love
it,
that.
and with the workouts as well, if I'm working out, if it is a Saturday, I don't care as much because Saturday are my more like chill workouts. But if, it's a weekday and my kid keeps on coming and interrupting, I'm like, Mama is working out. I'm training. I'll get to you. If this is not urgent, I'm going to get to you whenever I'm done. Cool?
Mhm.
Cool. Only coming here if somebody's dying. Otherwise, I'm not the one. Now is not the time. But for some reason, there is this like guilt that parents carry, that they want to say yes all the time, and that is not a reflection of life. So
Wow.
yeah,
I agree. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, kids are entitled nowadays, but I'm like, it's not the kids' fault.
you raise the kids,
Who
you
made
raise
them
them
that
kids.
way? Yeah, who made them that way? I might wanna talk to Jen. I might need to have her on. The
Oh, the counselor, my head coach,
Yes.
she is fantastic, and she works with teenagers, and it is quite. I had never thought about it this way, that way, until she comes on my podcast monthly to talk about different things. About, we have gone over the data on these studies, regarding how the way that the parent behaves impacts the kids, and
Mhm.
the example that you're setting even within your marriage, in relationships and things like that. And that is a topic that keeps on coming up. That is like, you either raise incredibly entitled kids because you don't say no, and the kids grow up not knowing what no is.
Yep.
Or on the other end, especially for young girls and women, they see a mom that completely gives herself to everything and everyone and doesn't take care of herself. And then she becomes that because that's what she sees as the norm.
Interesting. Yeah,
One question that
definitely.
I ask a lot of the ladies that we work with, and it is like, it is a gut punch. How would you feel if your daughter felt the way that you feel about yourself right now?
Mhm.
How that make you feel if your daughter felt about herself the way that you feel about right now, about yourself right now?
Yeah.
Because if the person, and it never fails. Whenever I'm speaking with someone, I'm like, oh my God, I would feel terrible. And I'm like, what do you think that needs to change? Like, what example do you think that she's watching? Mine. So, what do you think that needs to change in order for it to change? Oh, I need to change me.
Wow. That's a powerful question to ask.
Hmm.
I think this is a brilliant place to end, and I'm gonna have Jen on to expand on this and share the studies because this is fascinating. And you're right. I think it always starts at the top with
Hmm.
health, with performance, with true body positivity and confidence. It always starts at the top. And kids, they just don't know any better. They need us adults to guide. They need the people they see the most on a daily basis in the house to guide. And that's really the theme of this entire conversation. So I'm going to leave Natalia's link in the caption below so you can follow her work. I mean, she has such great content, coaching services as well for women who just want to be healthy and get their lives back and take care of themselves. And she's also a sports mom as well. So she understands that aspect of it too. So she has just so much great information on her page, and a lot of your reels are hilarious too. So, with Barb's, just watch all those. You'll know what I mean when you see them. So, I'll
Barbie's
leave.
hilarious.
It's so funny. So, I'll leave that in the caption below. Be sure to check her out, and I will see everyone next time.